God created humans and witches where the witches' magic became prosperity and peace for humanity. However, the Rhea Empire developed technology that advances magic, meaning it is no longer needed, and humanity went against and eradicated all witches. A powerful witch, Chloe, and her human apprentice Adonis are walking in the desert, and they are attacked by soldiers. Adonis says his kind deserve to be destroyed for this, and he wants to do it despite Chloe's reasoning. But they are suddenly transported to the Rhea Empire where they are met by Emperor Gerda. Chloe gets stripped and humiliated in front of the crowd. When Adonis is about to be killed after insulting them, Chloe begs Gerda to spare his life and lets herself get executed. Adonis is angered by humanity's display of cruelty and the loss of the one who loved and cared about him. 10 years later, in an internment camp, the prisoners Doroka and Anna talk about the belief that humanity would be happy once the witches were gone wasn't true, as humanity began fighting each other. The Rhea Empire started wars that never end and capture people from other lands. Doroka is about to be sold but escapes while freeing the prisoners. She runs into a room where a contained Adonis is about to be freed, ready for revenge. Adonis breaks free and kills the guards. The military is alert by Adonis's escape and searches for him. Adonis combined magic and weaponry to turn a bullet gigantic to a building and begins his revenge by killing all citizens of the Rhea Empire. Operator Executive Ecout kills the prisoners and the personnel for causing this. Adonis summons a giant robot to cause destruction and goes to confront Gerda. Adonis fights back the soldiers as he spends 10 years to determine the most precise way to slaughter a nation. Adonis summoned Bullet Bell to brutally gun down and massacring all the citizens. Doroka runs to stop Adonis. Adonis is angered when Doroka says the people are innocent and says humans always fight dirty and use cheap tricks. Doroka reveals she knows him, and she is in fact a witch. She and the witches survived, and they couldn't save Chloe because they were desperate to escape. Doroka says they can bring Chloe back to life, and she infiltrated the Rhea Empire to save him in order to bring back Chloe. They need Adonis and his memories of her to do it. Adonis begins to see Doroka speaks the truth, and Doroka tells him he is not alone anymore. But Doroka is shot by Ecout. In the past, young Doroka experienced the attack and destruction by human soldiers, and her friend Mia tells her to run to Madame Ophelia for safety. A wounded Doroka slowly dies, and Adonis uses magic to send bullets back at the soldiers. Ecout shots at Adenois, but it is stopped and is sent back at him in gigantic size. Ecout dies by the impact. Yamado's sister Yuki wants to use the magic suppression device, but is stopped by Theta. Yamado gets a call from Theta who tells about human cellular dysfunction disease. The soldiers were affected by particles from the devices during the witch hunts 10 years ago soon died as the device kills cells. Because there are no more witches left to restore the natural environment and cleanse harmful rays are gone. Meaning using the device on wide range will cause people to be exposed by particles and eventually die by it. Gerda stood before the device which caused Gerda's illness. However, Yuki still wants to activate the device for the Rhea Empire despite the illnesses. Theta stops this, but both Yuki and Theta are exposed hard. Adonis is weakened and a woman soldier then beheads him. The incident is over and Gerda speaks about the greatness of the Rhea Empire. Chiefess talks to Charmy about analysis on Adonis and Charmy discover the body is a fake. Adonis wakes up somewhere. Adonis remembers the one who beheaded him actually used duplication magic to create fake body of him to fake his death, and she turns out to be Anna who sends to him to Madame Ophelia. Ophelia tells him he is in the nation of witches. They all knew Chloe, but Chloe was cast out of the witches' nation for teaching magic to a human child. Adonis discover they are on the moon, and the witches came to this place 10 years ago as the new witches' nation Linamilia. Ophelia shows Adonis the tree meadow that produces witches. Witches are unisex, so unlike humans they do not have mating pairs, and they receive life from the trees, and this tree is the last as humans burned all the other meadow. As the only tree that can birth and regenerate witches, memory is life itself, and if Adonis puts his memories of Chloe in the fruit which will resurrected her. Adonis is met by Anna who is angry that Adonis is not showing grateful towards Doroka as she died for him. Adonis tells her he knows the witches are planning to use Chloe as he remembers Doroka warned him about. The witches plan to kidnap human slaves and kids, teach them about the same way Adonis used magic, and make them fight as the witches need an alternative source of defense. Only Chloe can make quills. But despite this, Adonis still want to resurrect Chloe and going to follow her will. On the ceremony to bring Chloe back to life, Adonis puts memories of her in the fruit and sees through flashbacks with her. However, Chloe was in pain and they can't live in this world alone. The witch is born, who is the resurrected Doroka. Adonis is unable to bring Chloe back to life due to the way of the world has become, and resurrect Doroka to repay her back for saving him. Ophelia and the witches are upset that Adonis did this after what they did for him. Adonis says he won't resurrect Chloe. But suddenly people is about to arrive due to Adonis had a tracking chip on him during his time as a prisoner. The tracking chip explode, which causes the Mito to be burned. Yamato and soldiers have come for Adonis and the witches. Adonis fight Yamato while Ophelia and the witches easily kills the soldiers, but more squads are coming. Back at the Rhedia Empire, Theta explains how the witches have managed to hide themselves on the moon. Yamato cuts down many witches including Ophelia. Doroka is saved by Anna of her duplication magic, but she herself is fatally wounded. Adonis gives Yamato powerful attacks and cuts of his arm. Yamato is about to finish Adonis off. Back at the Rhedia Empire, they try to get video back on as they have no idea what happened on the battlefield. Yamato is on the monitor, who says all the witches the moon are dead, but his eyes shows he is actually Adonis. Yamato and the soldiers are stopped by Doroka, who uses her love spell. Yamato tries to resist, and Doroka tells Yamato to end this and make peace. Yamato resists enough to attack and beating Doroka. Yamato says the delusional belief about the witches and Adonis. But Doroka gives Yamato a reality check that he has killed countless people too, which shocks him. She asks why doing this to them, even if they don't need the witches now that they have science. There's no need to kill them. Both races used to be living in harmony, and orders Yamato to retreat. Yamato's refusal to listen eventually falls under the love spell. Yamato is stabbed through the head and beheaded by Adonis. Gerda is informed about Adonis and the witches. Gerda suddenly acting insane and strange. His queen used love spell on him and orders him to kill himself. Gerda then tells the reason he made the Rhedia Empire the strongest nation in the world with their technology, and killing all the witches was all for his queen, as he did everything she told him to do. Gerda falls and impaled to death. Her magic only controls men, and it doesn't work on women. She wanted to get rid of her kind and is the mastermind behind everything. She orders Shirasagi to bring her Adonis. Her real name is Dorothea Greth, witch of the unknown. She possesses a quill and pictures of Alfredo Pendragon, who is the main protagonist of Kingdom of Caliban. Adonis uses Yamato's face to trick the people and to give him transfer back. Ophelia see how Adonis planned to escape the moon. He sacrificed the witches for that. Adonis takes Doroka and they are about to be transferred. But back at the Rhedia Empire, they are aware of the trickery and is ready for them. Theta and the soldiers are shocked that Adonis doesn't show up, and they don't know where he is. Adonis and Doroka are in the wastelands as Adonis changed the location of the transfer. Adonis begins planning with the destruction of the Rhedia Empire and procure information and supplies on their way there. Doroka wants to go back and scold Adonis for his behavior. Adonis shows what Doroka tried to do and see why the witches don't like Doroka, as she wanted to reconcile with humans so easily. Adonis says Chloe's life is more precious to him than all of humanity, and the world who took her from him deserve to be destroyed. Doroka says to Adonis she won't tell him to forgive them for what they've done. But if he continue with his revenge, it will shatter his heart, and he'll end up like the humans who took Chloe from him. Adonis bleeds from his injuries, and a group of bikers find them. Adonis wakes up in a place and is met by the leader Punch. The residents are people from developing countries, refugees and slaves who have escaped from Rhedia. Later in the evening during the party, the people fall asleep as Adonis changed the alcohol's formula and leaves Doroka due to not wanting her to end up like him. Punch reveals to Doroka he knows who Adonis is, as in the past he was dying until Chloe and Adonis saved him. Punch is one of the humans who didn't win against the witches. Punch says Adonis chose revenge even if it leads to his death. That's his choice. Doroka won't let Adonis die and goes after him on the motorcycle. Adonis and Doroka travel together. In the Rhedia Empire, the coronation of Dorothea as the new monarch of Rhedia begins. Dorothea's love magic causes many men and women to fall under her spell and becomes Rhedia's idol. Meanwhile, in another nation are watching the broadcast. They are commenting that Dorothea, a witch herself, has exterminated her own kind while ruling the world. During this, the agency and Theta are executed by Dorothea's soldiers. Shirasagi are in the wastelands to find Adonis. Adonis tells Doroka that he is not going to stop seeking revenge. Doroka tries to suggest to not fight kind people like Punch and his friends. Adonis asks Doroka about her love magic that makes men fall in love with her and control them. So why didn't she use it on him when they first met, which would be the most effective way, but tried to convince him instead? Doroka answers that he wouldn't have liked their first meeting to go like that. They arrive in Sandland Town, who is in ruins. They go trough a police station and they hear someone singing. They find a man in a cell. Adonis asks him if there is a metropolis nearby. He tells them about the city-state of Mamuda. Doroka says they can't leave him there, but Adonis tells her the cell is unlocked and the person in the bed are the man's deceased wife. Their next destination is Mamuda. Adonis and Doroka arrive in Mamuda, who looks to be abandoned. They see a woman on the ground who turns out to be a robot. Adonis says it is a Madoa, a mechanical doll created as a plaything for humans. They go to a room where a bunch of them are making love to a corpse. They are made by Ridia. Somewhere, two Kinoichi named 5 and 6 kills Redian soldiers. Adonis tells about the slave trade back in Ridia. It wasn't easy for this nation to import many Ridia sex robots, so they offered their own women in exchange for more dolls. Mamuda probably exported all the women in their nation to Ridia Empire. They let go of their wives and daughters so they could purchase sex robots. This is how humans are. They know no limits. This nation fell in ruins because without women, the next generation can't be born. The men drown in pleasure and rot away. A nation like that can't last, and this probably isn't the only nation that's fallen this way. 5 and 6 arrive. Emperor Suzure instructed them to capture anything that might help keep Ridia in check. They go to capture Adonis, but Shirasagi meets them and they attack him. Adonis says Anna, Ophelia, and the witches of Lunamilia were killed by the humans which he lured to them. Why would she travel with him despite that? Doroka answers she don't want to blame him and don't want to argue anymore. The witches were trying to use him. Their desire for magical items to use against humanity led them to abduct him, provoke him, and attempt to resurrect Chloe. What's that if not betrayal? Adonis and Doroka are met by Shirasagi, who destroys the motorcycle and has killed 5 and 6. He introduced himself to Adonis and is here for his head. Charmy is monitoring the group and Adonis see how he messed up as Ridia have found him. Shirasagi is messing with the heads of 5 and 6. Doroka tells him to stop that and Shirasagi gets closer to her. He noticed something about her. Adonis begins to fight him, but Shirasagi is faster than Adonis. Adonis fires bullets at him and Shirasagi dodges them. Adonis sees that Shirasagi's reaction speed must mean he is a cyborg. Doroka uses her love magic to stop Shirasagi, but it has no effect on him, and is surprised that Doroka is using a love spell and says it is no wonder she looks just like Dorothea. Both Doroka and Adonis wonder what he meant about Ridia's queen. They wonder how Shirasagi is able to move, and he shows them the heart symbol on his chest. Shirasagi uses his cyborg abilities to release Hummingbird at them. Doroka still wants to fight even without magic. She doesn't know if seeking revenge is wrong or not, but she stands by Adonis to the very end. Adonis gives Doroka a sword and himself an armor to fight the Hummingbird. Doroka almost gets Shirasagi, but hesitates to kill him, thus allowing Shirasagi to punch both Doroka and Adonis hard. Shirasagi manages to restrain Adonis and grabs Doroka in the hair. She thanks Adonis for walking by her side. If she could have one wish, she would wish they could have seen more sights together, as her eyes are brutally crushed by Shirasagi. Doroka screams in agony and Adonis experiences a deja vu. Doroka falls as her eyes is ripped out and has lost her sight. Shirasagi messes with her eyes and then destroys it. This rages Adonis and attacks him. Adonis and Doroka hide themselves. Adonis burns on her face to stop the bleeding. Doroka imagined that both of them lived in an ordinary life and wonder why did things turn out this way. Shirasagi searches for Adonis and both Adonis and Doroka come back at him with giant robot. Adonis wants payback for what he did to Doroka. Adonis and Shirasagi continue to fight. Adonis is knocked unconscious and begins to beat Doroka. A flashback shows when Shirasagi met Dorothea by chance. Dorothea tells him about something and became her slave. Shirasagi then says the world doesn't need two of the same witch, even if it's just of the ensemble verse. Doroka doesn't know what Shirasagi is talking about, but tells him to leave Adonis alone. She knows what he did in Ridia, but that only happened because Ridia and humanity started hunting witches as they are the ones who started it first. Doroka wanted to end the fighting and wanted to believe revenge wasn't everything, but now she is not sure if humans should be forgiven. After everything they've done to her, she can't believe revenge is wrong anymore. Shirasagi brushes off her words and only cares about taking Adonis's head. Realizing he's outmatched, Adonis tells Doroka to cast love spell on him to fight back. Doroka's memory shows when the witches learned of Doroka's love magic, and they mocked her, which led to her desperate to being a good witch. Adonis tells her not to worry as this won't make him fall in love with her. Doroka uses Knifefall that makes Adonis move very fast. His wounds and bones are all healed, and his magic are limitless. Adonis is powered up now, and Shirasagi, frightened by his power boost, tries to flee, but Adonis summons Quinn Blade that hits and cuts Shirasagi real hard. Adonis overpowers Shirasagi as his magic and physical strength is increased. Adonis rips him apart and begins using a spell that Chloe taught him. Shirasagi tries to stop him, but fails as he gets frozen by the spell, signaling his defeat and ending the battle. The spell freezes the entire city and across the wasteland. Charmy has lost the video and signal over them, and they see the power of the spell from the satellite. See how powerful Adonis is after defeating Shirasagi. Chloe's spirit shows up and hugs Adonis. He sees her one last time as she vanishes. As he is dying, Shirasagi tells Doroka they look just like them, like Dorothea and him. He also tells Doroka that if she sees the queen, she should tell her even though he failed to acquire the incarnation. He did his best and laments about Dorothea not returning his feelings for her as he disintegrates. Adonis tells Doroka he will find a way to fix her eyes. In the Rhedia Empire, Dorothea is jogging and the citizens are worshipping her. Dorothea asks if they have received response from the crowns and the other nations, military nation Mika, Eastern nation Suzhou, Markpoint medical nation, and single mother nation Orion Sono. The tyrannical Dorothea says if they won't listen to her request, she'll declare war on them. Somewhere else, Doroka is sad that she used her love spell on Adonis as his heart and feelings he held onto for Chloe. She directed them towards her. Adonis tells her not to regret it as he told her to do it. Adonis uses a bandage to cover her eyes and Doroka begins to fall for him. But Adonis tells her Chloe is the only one for him and her love spell had no effect him. They continue their journey while holding hands. Yuki has finally regained consciousness and is turned into a cyborg. Knowing that Yamato is dead, she decides to go after Adonis to avenge her brother. Doroka tells Adonis she knows now that revenge isn't wrong. And this is the end of anime until next time. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.